A quiet village nestled between rolling green hills and vast farmlands, there lived a girl named Ngozi. She was the embodiment of beauty. Her skin glowed like the morning sun, her eyes held an enchanting depth, and her smile had the power to steal hearts. Every young man in the village dreamed of being with her, but no matter how hard they tried, Ngozi remained unattainable. She was polite yet distant, charming but elusive. There was something mysterious about her, something no one could quite place. Rumors swirled. Some said she was under a powerful oath never to love. Others believed she had sworn herself to a secret covenant. But none of these tales deterred the men who longed for her. It was as though her very inaccessibility made her all the more desirable. Then came Emeka, a wealthy businessman who had made his fortune in the city. Emeka was a man of success and influence. He owned several fuel stations and numerous shops and had a fleet of luxurious cars. He was the pride of the village, the son every mother wanted, the man every father respected. Though he had wealth beyond what most villagers could imagine, he remained humble. It was the festive season, Christmas, a time when city dwellers returned home to reconnect with their roots. Emeka was no exception. As he drove through the village in his sleek black SUV, he caught sight of Ngozi walking along a dusty path. The moment he saw her, he was captivated. He had heard of her beauty, but seeing her in person was an entirely different experience. On impulse, he stopped his car and rolled down the window. "Excuse me, can I give you a ride?" he asked, flashing his most charming smile. Ngozi hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Thank you," she said softly as she slid into the passenger seat. They talked as he drove. Emeka found her voice soothing, her laughter like music. He took her to one of the finest eateries in the village, eager to know more about her. By the end of the evening, he was certain Ngozi was unlike any woman he had ever met. The days that followed were filled with long drives, shared meals, and stolen glances. The village buzzed with gossip. Men who had once pursued Ngozi now watched enviously as she spent her time with Emeka. But there was something peculiar about their relationship. No matter how much time they spent together, Ngozi remained distant when it came to intimacy. Emeka, a man used to getting what he wanted, found himself intrigued rather than frustrated. She always had an excuse. "I am saving myself for my husband," she would say, her eyes filled with innocence. Emeka was impressed. Such women, he believed, were rare. The more she denied him, the more he longed for her. In his heart, he knew he had to marry her. His family was overjoyed when he announced his intentions. The introductions were made, the bride price paid, and soon, a grand wedding followed. Emeka felt like the luckiest man alive. But things took an unsettling turn on their wedding night. As they lay in their marital bed, Emeka, burning with anticipation, reached for his wife. But once again, she stopped him. "Not tonight," she whispered. "Let's wait until we go on our honeymoon." Emeka was taken aback, but chose to be patient. After all, what was a few more days? They traveled to Paris, a city of romance. Emeka spared no expense. Lavish dinners, luxurious hotel suites, and breathtaking views of the Eiffel Tower. He was ready to experience the night he had been waiting for. But yet again, Ngozi refused. "I am tired," she murmured, turning away. That was when Emeka began to feel uneasy. Something wasn't right. Every night, before she went to bed, she ensured the room light was turned off and the room was in complete darkness. Emeka had not once seen her fully unclothed, and though he tried to dismiss his doubts, his mind would not let him rest. One fateful night, he couldn't be patient anymore. At midnight, he awoke and turned towards Ngozi. She lay still, breathing softly. The dim glow from the city lights filtered through the curtains, casting a shadow over her figure. Slowly, carefully, he reached out, running his hands over her body, down her legs, and already pulled off his clothes. As he was touching her laps with a gentle romance, getting in between her laps, he continued advancing his hands further, but at a point, he felt something strange. He was confused. The room was dark, he didn't see anything, but he could feel something so strange with his hands. To a point, he couldn't withstand it. He decided he had to turn the room light on. He stood up to turn the light. His heart pounded. His breathing became ragged. What was this? Was he imagining things? As he turned the light on, what he saw sent a cold wave of terror through his veins. Between his wife's legs was not what should have been there. It was something else entirely. A manhood? He murmured. Emeka's body went rigid. His mouth hung open in a silent scream. The room spun around him. His breath came in short, sharp gasps. His beautiful, delicate wife was not who or what she claimed to be. His vision blurred, his chest tightened, and he slumped on the floor. When he regained consciousness the next morning, Ngozi was in the kitchen making breakfast. Emeka walked to the kitchen door, confused, still thinking of what he saw the previous night. He was still speechless, still couldn't believe he wedded his fellow man. But he hid everything, pretending nothing happened. When they traveled back to the city, Emeka suddenly suggested they return to the village, claiming that his father urgently needed to see him. He tried to convince Ngozi, who hesitated at first. She wondered if Emeka had discovered the truth about her, but she reassured herself she had never been intimate with him, so how could he possibly know? Eventually she agreed, unaware of Emeka's true intentions. Upon reaching the village, Emeka gathered his family and elders. He confessed everything, declaring that he could not continue with the marriage. The village elders investigated and uncovered the truth. Ngozi had been born with both male and female reproductive organs. However, the elders had no concern for that. Tradition was clear. Marriage was sacred and irreversible. For better or worse, they reminded him, you made a choice, and now you must endure it. Emeka had no choice but to accept his fate. Tradition is tradition. Nobody can go against it unless the person chooses to die. And that was how Emeka found himself bound in marriage to a woman with two private parts. So the question is, if you were Emeka, what would you do at this point?